that kind of summarizes, again, I think, what people ask themselves when they sit down and read and check and look and so on. People are not stupid, you know. I mean, they immediately realize that there are question marks, potential health hazards. They want to have answers to proper questions, and they don't get this. And then they get frustrated and angry, and they try again and again, and they always get the answer. There is no cause for alarm. There are no dangers. There is nothing to bother about here. But they don't feel satisfied, and I think we will see some kind of tougher discussion coming up. Maybe not in Sweden, but in other countries, maybe in Denmark, and definitely in countries like France, Italy, the UK, and so on, because they have moved very quickly the borderline forward, and their scientific horizon is much more wider than at least here, you know.
Yeah, I talked last year. I talked to an English company that's doing something about vibrations and healing and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he cannot say which the company is, but it's one of the biggest mobile producers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They have contacted them to ask them to help them to make something that will actually prevent or protect people better,
mm-hmm.
so they could build in the phones or something.
Mm-hmm.
He says, the director of the company says, we know it's dangerous,
mm-hmm.
we know people get ill of it,
mm-hmm.
we cannot shut it down,
mm-hmm.
but we have to do something to diminish it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of scary when he says things like that, because he knew it, and he wouldn't have his children in a school where there were mobile masts close by, the managing director for the mobile company, and they don't use mobile phones themselves.
No, and you know, I constantly get into this kind of corners too, you know,
yeah.
And I think, again, the representatives of the industry, they're of course very, very intelligent. They realize that there are question marks. They want to solve it because it's a matter of taking parts of a worldwide global market, you know. And when people have got their telephones and the new types and the new screen and the new color or whatever, they start asking safety issues instead. And when they go to the shop, you know, they rather would like to have a safe product than an unsafe one. And it's kind of going along with a lot of other fields of human productivity. I mean, like the car industry. Today it's of course impossible to buy a car without all these safety devices built in, you know, and you want to have a safe car, and could you buy a safer one, then you take that one, of course, you know. And I think we will see this development in the future. And again, as I said previously, the industry as such doesn't have the responsibility for public health issues. That's the responsibility of governments, parliaments, authorities, the World Health Organization, the Karolinska Institute, and so on. We have that responsibility. But of course, then we also need to have the possibility to really do the crucial investigations and so on. And I think the industry would be very happy to have firm knowledge, to know that, okay, if we take away this from this project, then it will become a safe product, and they don't want to harm people in any way. That's not at all their wish, you know. That's just foul talk in that case. So they want to have a safe product as ever possible, but also they need to have firm knowledge to really know in what direction they should move. And I'm sure if you come back like in 50 or 100 years time and do this interview again, mobile phones, if they're around at all, they will look very differently and they will work very differently, as will wireless internet and other products, computer screens and whatever, you know. And there is always a development towards better products. But of course, for the industry, it's always a matter of also getting a profit to use in their development and so on. So, as I said, the responsible levels, like the governments, the authority and so on, they must take the responsibility, and they don't.
You mentioned earlier Kjell Hansen Mill. He said that you were right when you said the safety limit would be
zero.
Yeah. So that's probably the scary point from the industry, because if it comes out that it's really that dangerous, as it probably is, then they are off the market in one day.
Yeah, well, maybe not off the market and maybe not in one day, but it would of course be a blow. But not until the governments and parliaments starts to move along these lines of evidence. Yeah. So I think it's a sort of shorter, longer time span here. But you are right in the sense that the real power in this kind of issues lies within the consumers. The day the consumer says, no, I don't want to have this any longer, that's the big blow, of course. But we don't want to move into that direction. Yeah. I mean, we want to know, we want to look at these, we want to gain knowledge, and as I said, hopefully this is without any danger. But people need to see that. You cannot just tell them that you think it's safe. You have to show that it's safe, and today you cannot.
Right now, when we are here in May, 21st of May 2008, and actually when we look at it from a bigger perspective, we are in a kind of period that has to do with ethics. And that means perhaps it's time really now for the Swedish government and protection departments and the Danish ones to really go into the ethical mode. Yeah. Because it has been very since 2003 when the debate started in Denmark really seriously and very fast, it has been completely shut down, and all these no proofs, but they have just said it's safe and no need to worry. I remember in 2004 you wrote to me, we were communicating, and you wrote that you believe we have to take a whole generation of children and young people and bring them directly into the treatment system. And when I have been watching and observing children since that day, I find it actually it was almost like a prophecy you made, because it's what do you believe today?
Yeah, unfortunately it seems that children are losing their health in a sense, as you say, and it's also funny because I think it was yesterday in the Berlingske Tidende from Denmark, you can read about this Danish-American study regarding offspring children from mothers that had used mobile phones, and the offsprings, they had got a lot of learning disabilities and psychological problems and so on, and the explanation was that this has to do with that they don't have time for the children and the children don't have time for the parents, which may very well be so, but since one of the authors of this report is Dr. Kaifetz, who is kind of a representative of the telecom industry, it's also interesting to see that they are now starting to talk about maybe it could also be a matter of irradiation. The microwaves or the power frequent magnetic fields from mobile phones may in some ways influence the unborn child. And again, there are other studies showing effects on a lot of parameters regarding fetuses and also newborn children when you use mobile phones in their vicinity, and a short telephone exposure could, for instance, influence the heart rate capacity of these children. And we are picking all these pieces of this gigantic jigsaw puzzle, and of course as a scientist the only thing I could add is further pieces, so that's what we would like to do,